T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Varanus Vault podcast on the Trap Talk Reptile Network. Happy New Year to everyone. We've got a very special guest kicking things off right for 2026. A man that needs no introduction, but here he is. Brandon, how we doing, mate?
Not too bad. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How's things been?
Things have been good, man. Things have been good. Rocking and rolling. Just got back from a little vacation with the family in Costa Rica. So have a few days before I have to go back to work so we can kind of relax and stuff. And, you know, coming back from a vacation, you know what it's like, right? If you're gone for a while, there's always a million things that you have to do to catch up with the animals. But we're surviving. Yeah. We're surviving.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you have staff when you leave, Brandon, or not with your collection? It's quite a sizable collection now, obviously.
Right. Yeah. No, I have an employee that works for me. So she's in pretty much every second day, every day, just doing the daily stuff and routine stuff. Yeah. I need it, you know.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Otherwise you just can't get away at all.
No.
As you know, that nobody seems to do it like you do it. Like the guys here are really good, but they will miss stuff. And I don't know. You always got that little edge. You're trying to enjoy your holiday, and then you've got that edge of coming back to what you're going to come back to.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, you even have like cameras on everything, and you're like, I can watch them from wherever we are, right, in Costa Rica or on vacation, and it's still like, ugh. I remember one time watching my employee had a blue tree monitor get out of the enclosure, and I was watching her on the cameras for about 2 hours trying to catch it on top of enclosures and stuff. It was comedy. It was pure comedy, but I was like, just grab it, because she was so afraid, right? It was hilarious. But yeah, it was good.
That's good. So we're going to do a bit of a reflective episode, and then sort of looking forward to 2026. And then we're going to do a few topics that aren't being talked a lot. We're not going to go over the same husbandry stuff. Me and you said it's been done to death. So the last few years, you've been adding quite a bit to your collection. Do you want to just go through that? Obviously, you've been known for your Audatria for many years. But how long have you been doing it now, Brandon? The monitors.
I got my first yellow Ackies in 1998. Probably when you were born there, Chris, or something. Just the monitors since 1998. I had some other stuff before that when I was in like high school, and but yeah, since 98, and then cut my teeth with Ackies, and then you get into all the different Audatria, right? Like I've had, in terms of Audatria, I've had most of the available species at some point in time, right? And then kind of with the Audatria, you just kind of, there's a lot of them that didn't really interest. I mean, I wanted them just so I could complete the Australian Audatria collection at one point, right? And then you get working with them, and you get a bit older, and then you have to think about efficiencies and family then. And it's like, okay, I can cut out stores monitors, because I was like, to me, they weren't pretty like pill bars or cams, so you go through that whole routine. So I stuck with the Audatria that I really liked. And then tree monitors came along, and it's like, oh, that opened up a whole new world of beautiful lizards, right? And then it's like, okay, I got to get all 6 species. And then in recent years, like in the last year or two, it's just like, I had some room. So I was like, I wouldn't mind working with some of the bigger stuff, right? And crocodile monitors was the species that I really wanted to try, right? So I built something up for them, and then I was like, well, if I'm doing a room dedicated to large lizards, then I might as well get a few other nice species. And you know how it goes, right? The addiction continues.
Oh yeah.
So
Going back to the Audatria, it's gutted you didn't ever get the it was Brother Cord you had, but all males from the story you told
yeah,
before.
I mean, I got 4 tiny babies from Japan back in like 2005 or something, and I was like, what, you know, it wasn't even a question that I was going to get males and females, right? And then at the, raise them up, and by raising them up to like this big. And then it was like, man, I was like 3 males for sure. And then there was one like questionable one, and it never did anything. And I'm fairly certain that was likely a male as well. And I was just like, damn, you know, talk about the worst luck ever, right?
So bad. Yeah, I didn't even know that's possible to be that unlucky. But yeah, never to be seen again from
right.
I've seen a few in Europe. That was going back way back.
Yeah, well,
that was an animal.
Yeah, like the 2 brevicata that I had left, because over the course of a few years I was trying everything, like combating males to try and see if I could get that extra one going, and I had ended up losing a couple right at the end of the day. So I had 2 left, and I ended up sending them back. I sent them to a guy in Europe, and I was just like, hey man, I'm fairly certain these are 2 males, but he's like, I don't care, I want them. And I was like, okay, perfect. My thinking was that maybe this person had like some in his side collection and just wanted CITES for a couple or whatever, right? So
yeah,
I was like, okay.
yeah, of course.
And I was hoping maybe that was the case, but I never saw anything of it. But I mean, there's still some out there. I'm talking to some people that have some, so we'll see. But
yeah, they would have been very cool. I just in an episode with Frizy, he was telling me all about them. He's a guy in Australia that keeps them. They sound fantastic, really good to work with. So it's a shame.
Really nice looking too. Like I had some really nice red ones. Just the contrast between the red and then the white on them was really neat, right? So that's unfortunate. That was the one project I was like, ugh, you know, like, what a kick in the pants that was. And it wasn't cheap.
No, I can imagine. Jesus. Yeah, even stuff from Japan's pretty expensive. Pretty high prices for stuff, especially back then. You've added some more Indonesian Audatria though, apart from your Australia ones that you've spoken about before. You've got you tell me what you've got now.
Yeah, I just have right now. I just have the Affenbergi, and I have a pair of Similis. So, like the Affenbergi I had years ago, probably back, I want to say like 2001 and 2, and I never did anything with them back then, and I was probably keeping them quite nuclear, like the rest of my Audatria, right? Super hot, and it's probably like they don't like it as hot. So I was like, I had them back then because they're beautiful, and I always thought they were like a good alternative to just a more common Aki or whatever. And so I got back into those things, and they've been great. I love those things. And I think they're, like the Timors and Similis and the Affenbergi, they're going to pick up in popularity, right? And
I was just about to say, I don't know. Still don't understand, especially the Affenbergi, why they're not more popular. Especially like, as you've probably seen with the captive bred ones that you've produced.
Yeah.
They're worlds apart from, the farm ones or whatever. So yeah, I don't understand on that one. And beautiful as well. Like really.
That's the thing, right? So like they're really pretty. I mean, if mine were originally like imported ones, so and they were a bit smaller, so it's like they didn't really show their adult color when I got them. And then they're in captivity, they shed out, they get all their nice color, and they grow quick, man. Like that was the one thing I noticed about baby Affenbergi is how fast they grow, like way faster even than Akis. It's like, holy crap, these things grow. But yeah, just like the mix of colors on them is awesome. That's why I thought they're a great alternative to Akis. And like you said, once you get some captive ones on the ground, I mean, they're personality wise, they're not quite as social as an Aki with you, but the captive ones are pretty good. I mean, really. And if you're somebody that's going to work with them all the time, then and be there, they'll lose any fear of you, no problem.
Yes.
So yeah, I have the Affenbergi, and then just a pair of Similis.
How you finding them?
Well, I mean, the ones that I have just a big import male, and then I have a female from a guy here. He wanted some tree monitors, and he had this female Similis, and worked out a trade / deal and stuff. And he, I mean, this thing was just a sausage. Just you know, I don't know. You probably experienced it.
Really easy to get fat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, they look at a pinky or something and they gain, 100 grams. It's like, what the hell's going on with these things? But yeah, so when I got it, it was really fat, to the point now where I'm like feeding it just crickets once every 3-4 days or something, just to lean it out. And it doesn't seem to want to lose weight either.
No, I was about to say it's I had those Mitchellii back in the UK, and they've been fed to hell. And I starve them because they can take a good starving. They're from they're like a proper boom and bust species.
Yeah.
And I was really I was like on the point of just like, surely you got to lose some weight, and they just held on to it. I think it made it worse actually starving them rather than just giving it a little off them. But yeah, they were never good breeders. I think once you ruin them, it's really, I don't know if you ever get them back. They produce now. Peter's got them in the UK, the big ones, but they're just always infertiles, where the other ones, the smaller ones, well, the thinner ones, they still produce.
Yeah, are people still producing those out there, like the Mitchellii in the UK, like with success?
Yeah, I only sold 2 of them. I think I bred 12, and then I lost the female. She had like 23 eggs, or 23 over, and one of the over burst when I cut her open. So that was one of the good females. And then Matthew's got a pair that I sold him. He's produced a few of them, but they're really, for some reason, it's really hard to get males out of them. They're always females. So I think he's struggling to produce or to grow any on.
It'd be a shame. If those.
And then, funnily enough, I've got a pair still. They're the last species I need to sell. My mum's just got a load of eggs, but they're no good because she hasn't got to them in time. They're like ones that I've bred that I've grown up. They're literally in a cage, but I just need someone to buy them. And then Julian's got the other ones. So it's getting.
Can you export them?
I haven't tried yet. I mean, they're multiple generations captive bred. But it's because they're Australian, and now they're IUCN critically endangered. So I don't know if that would do it. Someone's got to try. That's why I keep saying, people offer me stuff and offer me money for them, and I'm like, I want decent money for these, because if you get the CITES from, they're like a 10 grand lizard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's expensive lizards, but I just haven't got the time, or I'm not over in the UK with them anymore to bother applying. But hopefully they won't be lost. Like I said, they're in a couple of good hands. I just need to get that pair to someone. Just you know what it's like with CITES. Well, in Canada it seems a bit easier than anywhere else. The UK's
it's like, I mean, there's still, in Canada it's still all about paper trail. You know what I mean? But what we don't necessarily have here is the scrutiny of CITES coming from somewhere else, right? So it's like, if you were to get CITES for Mitchellii and send them to me, it's like our officials would never. It's all good. You know what I mean? Whereas if they
trust the other country's CITES.
Where if you were to get CITES on Mitchellii and try and send it to like Germany or something, you'd be like, holy shit, it'd be like a nightmare, right? So.
Certain countries, like we've got import permits in the UK, so they scrutinize it the other side and then scrutinize it when it comes in as well. But these I didn't buy them. They come from the ham show, obviously, with no paperwork there. And then that was pre-Brexit, so you were allowed to bring stuff over. There's a receipt. I just don't know if it would hold up with when you're applying for them. I can prove they're like, they'd be on with me on 2nd generation now, and they were captive bred ones that I got. But it's one of the, it's a lot of paperwork in it to sort out. But if it can be sorted, there's a lot of money for. So that's why I keep telling people, offer me like really, really low prices. I'm like, these like the goose with the golden egg if you get them CITES. So
right,
we will see.
That's the key, right? Like you said, I've had people offer me stuff over the years too, and it's just like, it's useless to me unless it's like legit with CITES, right? CITES is the golden ticket. Like when I got the Brevicata, it was like, oh, you can export these with CITES. Oh yeah, okay, awesome. That's it, right? Otherwise, I won't touch it. Like I wouldn't touch it. So, because what do you
same with the Mitchell? It's fine within in the UK. They don't need any CITES there, but just to export them out. But the one thing that on those, I think I could prove everything. I just don't know if the scientific authority that we have to speak to, because they're IUCN listed as critically endangered. That's like a snow leopard, basically.
Yeah.
It's
really,
like, would they just say no because of that? So, but it's worth someone. Hopefully, Julian breeds a load of them, and I can get him to apply for CITES. They're awesome. They're really, really cool to work with. Just like a water ackie, basically.
yeah. Like, that's, I mean, obviously I'd love to get some, but that's always the thing. I've got to rely on somebody over there to like take the plunge, I'm trying to get because I talk to Dan Nardini a lot. So I'm always asking him, come on, you got to try it. Like go breed those bloody things and see what happens. Right. Or whatever. So but but at the end of the day,
like I said, there's a good population of them in the UK. All like I said, all from my ones, it's two females, so they're probably related still anyway, just from how little of them must have come into Germany. But I mean they're awesome. So going back to those similars, might be worth you getting some another female or another couple, because just what I've had with those Mitchell with when they get fat, it just seems to be a nightmare.
That's game over for them.
Yeah, it just seems to be.
Yeah, you're pumping out Similis over there. It seems pretty regularly, eh? Yeah,
crazy. Yeah, that's another thing. That's why I want you to suss them out. Everyone seems to have so much problem in Europe and in the ones that have been in America and places. And I can't work it out for the life of me, because they're the easiest monitor we breed here. We literally another 100 this year.
Really, eh?
So, so many.
Do you do those Similis? Are they in your indoor facility or outdoor, or a mix of both?
All outdoor. Yeah,
all
it's
outdoor,
probably the most. Yeah, they're the same with the Teamerensis and the Offenburgi. There's a row that gets really hot in the summer, but they get really cold. I think this might be the problem with them. They get really cold. Like now, it's been raining for like 5 days, and we're dropping down to a good 18, 19 degrees at night, and that'll go on until March now. So they've got 4 or 5 months of really cold, pretty crappy weather. So maybe they just need a good cooling.
Okay,
which I don't know if people have done.
And that's what you think. That's why they do so well for you, is because they have that cooling period, and then
that's all I can put it down to. Why people might not be doing that. I think it was you I was speaking to before, or someone. People just don't like getting reptiles cold, and as we're seeing with some of the stuff we'll talk about later, aside from the monitors, is some stuff really handles cold really well, and obviously needs it as well. So
I know you're right. It's like I've been looking at. You just because as a monitor person, when you start out with them, you're like indoctrinated into thinking they need it like nuclear hot, right? Like that's always been the train of thought. And as you see, like as I've noticed over, especially the last few years, it's like, man, my whole career I've been keeping this stuff probably way too hot. Like I was just telling somebody the other day, even with red Ackies, and those are a species that it's like everybody's like, oh, they need a basking spot of 150 degrees Fahrenheit and blah blah blah. And I had this group of Ackies that was, did a little experiment. I'm probably 2.5 years old at this point. They weren't breeding particularly well, like very sporadic. And I had a decent sized spotlight in I had 4 pairs going, and I had a decent sized spotlight that really got that basking spot cooking, and none of them were really doing a whole lot. So I was like, I'm just going to play with these things, right? So I think the basking light in their enclosure was like a 65 watt, and I took that 65 watt bulb out of 2 of the 4 pairs, and I just replaced it with a 25 watt spotlight, right? Just one of those little nipple ones. And man, the two that I took the hotspot out, like the 65, those two enclosures with the 25-watt bulbs, those females just went boom and started laying like crazy. And I was like, holy crap. And it's like significantly cooler, right? And I was like, Ackies of all things, right? Like we're killing. Like, I mean, we're keeping stuff way too hot, I think. You know,
I think that comes from Frank's training thought. Funny, we were just talking about him before. From keep them hot and feed them a lot, which tends to work. But yeah, I don't know if we're burning them out. Just it just seems super hot.
I just think it's like a metabolism thing. I think with especially stuff like, like Ackies and Pilbaras and stuff. It's like, well, not what I was going to say, the tree monitors. If even the tree monitors, if you're, their metabolism's so high, and especially depending on the diet you're feeding them, right? If they're running super hot and their metabolism's through the roof all the time, they can't really store energy to put into eggs and all that stuff, right? So it's like you really gotta, tree monitors was like the adjust the real wake up call for me with the temperature thing, because it's like initially when you start with them, it's like, oh, they're just a monitor. They want it super hot. And that was like the consensus. And, and it was like, okay, I had a few pairs of things and some were breeding sporadically. Some weren't doing anything. Some were breeding regularly. I was like trying to figure out what the hell's the magic recipe, right? The magic recipe was when I just decided to drop the temperature, and then everything's like, okay, we're happy, right? Like that was it. So yeah, it's I mean, and like you said, some stuff likes it really cold. Like really cold. So
and also the environmental like switch. If you just keep it like that's going back to those similars, they're like, you can set your clock by when they're going to start laying. June, July, every single year since I've been here, and speaking to Bunju's, obviously been breeding them before I was here. He's like, those will all start laying in June until September, and literally this year. Literally the 1st of June, they started laying clutches, and then all the way to September. But I fed them quite heavy last year, and now they're just not getting fed anything until probably May, April, June, and then it just gives them that bit of the switch. Do you know what I mean? That seems to be quite important.
Yeah, so you just don't, like, when it's like this time of year, like the rainy, cool season or whatever, you just don't even bother feeding them. Is that the deal?
Just really reduce it. It's on just crickets, not even cockroaches or anything.
Yeah.
And then I think they're getting fed like twice a week at the moment, if that, maybe once a week.
Interesting, yeah.
But yeah, it's just that switch as well. But yeah, they're just so like clockwork. A bit like the tree monitors, when you get them cycling after that, once you get them to that first cycle, it can be quite difficult. But then once you get them cycling, they can go every, 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And you can almost set your clock by it. You can count the days from last clutch. It's almost like that when these things are going.
Yeah, and they have pretty, like the Similars seem to have decent sized clutches too, right?
Yeah, we got 2 clutches of 17 eggs this year. That's the biggest we've had so far. So they compound pretty quickly.
Yeah, I bet, right? It's like the incubator's popping with Similars like nuts.
Yeah, all the time. Which we might actually have to reduce them next year because of the quota. The quota on them from here is like, I think it was 20 last year. And then we can add some on. Yeah. Insane. So I've got like 40 from last year. Still there. So the breeders we got are actually pretty old. I found out they're coming up to about 10 to 15, some of them. So I'm raising the ones I bred last year up to replace those ones. But yeah, it gets to the point. We had the same with Lanthanotis, in fact. Yeah. Because we're affected by the quota so much. It's like, well, there's no point. There's only so many we can breed. It's people don't realize we got that to battle with, which is nice for you guys. Outside of Indonesia, where you can produce enough. But again, I don't know how much the market could absorb as well. That's the other thing. Being a responsible breeder of stuff.
That's crazy though. Like 20, your quota is 20 animals for Similars annually. You would think like, wow, that's crazy. And it's on something like that, what's the reasoning? Do they think they're just rarer than they actually are in Indo, or
no? Some farm, I don't know how many years ago, claimed they bred 500 Timorensis, which probably didn't happen. And I think their paper was written about it where they visited the farm. I think Dan Yatush went there and they found no evidence of that happening. which caused them to crack down here in Indonesia, obviously in a big way. So I think they looked at all the Audatria and were just like, right, we'll just make the quotas really low. I think they were banned, not similar. So I think Timorensis or Affenbergi were banned for a number of years going out of Indonesia and possibly into Europe. So it has a big, has a big knock-on effect on everything.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I mean, Timorensis used to be one of those things that you could find everywhere, like, 10, 15 years ago, it seemed like they were, and then all of a sudden nothing, right? I haven't seen a Timor come into Canada in, I don't know, like I said, 10, 15 years probably, right?
Yeah. Pretty sure, I can't remember when they come back in. I think Timors were completely, because of this farm that had claimed to breed so many of them. I think they just put a complete ban on them out of Indonesia. I think Indonesia actually put the ban on export to them
Really?
until they could, So like I said, they're getting really hot. We've just been audited as well, where they've come around and checked the facility. They were looking at obviously the breed, making sure we have enough breeders. I showed him the incubator. I actually went to the guy that was running the audit and showed him all the Similis eggs. I was like, right, guys, I don't know what they work it out with a little formula they got from CITES, I think. I think that they on there. This is the other caveat of it. I think they said they could produce like 5 eggs a year or something like that. And I was like, well, here's probably 10 clutches where they're at least 10 eggs. So hopefully that they listen to that and can increase them a bit more.
So are you able to export Timors now or no?
Yeah, we can export Timor. Yeah.
Because you have that new locality one that you're
we've got small ones. We've got another as well that's just been described. So we've got they're breeding those as well. So that'd be brand new to the hobby as well. So there's a new subspecies of Timorensis. They're really cool. All the Indonesian stuff has been so overlooked for so long. I think the Timors had the problem where they were pretty scatty, not being captive bred, and then so cheap. It's like the double-edged sword of when something's really cheap and skittish. No one was interested. Those Samoa ones are like bright red. And then some of the other Timors and stuff are beautiful. So I'm hoping they have a bit of a resurgence. Because they will.
Yeah, I think they will. It's one of those things, like, you've been in the hobby for years, right? It's like a lot of times when you have to launch a species, the price point has to be maybe down a bit, right? And then, when, especially years ago, Timors were dirt cheap on price lists and stuff. They were like a disposable thing. Nobody respected them, and they were just overlooked. But that's exactly like my train of thought too, like with the Similis and Affenbergi, and eventually, hopefully, some Timors. But it's like, man, they're really, really a great alternative to Ackies. If you don't want, because it seems like obviously everybody has Ackies. They are a great lizard, but it's like, for somebody that wants to just, after they have Ackies, or even just avoid Ackies altogether because they just want to be different, or maybe do a bit more of like the Indonesian setup versus the desert setup.
Yeah.
Like
as well.
Yeah, they're that's what I was thinking. They're great. And I mean, they're beautiful in their own, like, I mean, a Similis, even something like a Similis, right? It's just black and white, but just the contrast between the whole thing, really, really nice. I mean, they're stunning. They're really stunning.
Some good work to be done. I'm getting some now with quite a bit of red on them. They got the Peluensis in Australia with the big red dots on them. Me and Will have been looking at them. Well, Will put me onto them, taking a closer look, but they seem to be just similar from a certain region in Australia. I started looking at our ones, and ours have got little red flecks. So there's like selective breeding to do that. I reckon in 10, 15 years you could get those ones that look like those Peluensis with the big round spots just from breeding similar. I'm breeding them. So and they're, like I said, they're so productive and quick, like to grow as well. It's like a good project. The selective breeding with the tree monitors is a lot longer.
Sure. Yeah. Do you find that a lot? Like, I mean, if you're looking for new projects over there, and you're like, let's say exactly that, you were like, oh, I'm looking for some new Similis to augment my own breeding group, and if you were to like have access to several animals, do you notice that a lot, like where you see a lot of just different phenotypes that you can pick from and be like, holy crap, that looks awesome,
yeah, for sure. I mean, Will really put me on because he started sending me the ones from Australia, and they're from Cape York, so they're the same animal if you really look at them. And I was like, wow, I bet I could get that out of the ones I've got here. They're not quite at that look now, but yeah, it's just bothering to look really, just because I've got so many of them. I was like, well, I need to start, almost making them a bit different and selective breeding them, because we've got so many of them. It'd be nice to have something a bit different. So yeah, there's loads of work, but I think you just need a species that's productive and quick to grow. With the tree monitors, it seems to be a lot slow. I don't know if you've done any selective breeding over the years with the tree monitors.
I mean, yes and no. So basically, when you're like, depends how many animals you have to work with, right? As you know, but it's like, what I try to do is I try and match up the looks of them, right? So blue trees, obviously, I've been working towards over the years, like trying to get the bluest and most blue saturation on the animals as possible. I find that the Risingeri, the yellow trees, there seems to be a lot of different phenotypes and looks to them. It's insane. Yeah, I posted a video today. I don't know if you've seen it, Brandon. There's a clutch, not clutch, 4 different animals. I don't know if I can get it up for you, mate. Have a look. It's the first time I've seen it, because I'm working with so many animals now. You know, I only have 2 pairs, 2, 1, 2, 3, or 2 or 3 pairs from the same line. So you've seen it, even in that, you've seen a bit of variance. Yeah. Well, like I said, this year I bred 4 different females. Let's get that. So yeah, that's I saw that. Yeah, 4 different pairs, and then that's changing just that from them coming out, and they were all kept the same. So this stuff about diet and stuff, I think is maybe not right, or like I said, they were all kept outside as well, all incubated in the same incubator, right? And yet you've got 4 different looks completely there. Yeah, it's kind of funny, because like I just had that Reptiliatus come over there a couple months ago and do that facility tour. And when he was there, there was a clutch of Risingeri hatching, and so we did the filming and stuff, and then he's like, "What'd you think of those babies hatching?" And I was like, because that was actually I believe that was a brand new pairing that I had put together. And when those babies hatched, they actually hatched out quite green. And I was like, oh man, now people are going to think that the yellows are green, right? They just don't understand how much they change in color, but as they age, right? Massively. Yeah, so that's at least 3 years. I've bred those ones in the UK that come out really green, like a mint green almost. Some of the time, and then 3 years later they're yellow. So that's why they're my favorite. They're so cool. But and also when you put it next to a Prasinus, they're not the same green as a Prasinus. I don't know why that gets confused so much. I think they're fantastic, but obviously people really want the really, really yellow ones. Yeah, it's hard because like the yellow saturation comes a lot of time with age. You had some hatchlings there that were really, really yellow right out of the egg, right? Versus the other ones on the other end of the spectrum. So it's hard to, especially when somebody's trying to buy one and they're like, I want the yellowest one possible. And you're like, here's this greenish baby and it will turn nice and yellow. But it's it's hard for them to grasp that. But I mean, the yellow's a really interesting one. It seems to come like, even with going back to like carpet pythons and stuff that I used to breed, like jungle carpet pythons, which are like black and yellow. You can get much more of a black and yellow. So they come out like dirt brown when they're younger and go through the change, and they just get more and more yellow. Yellow seems to come in a lot later in reptiles for some reason. Yeah, but there seems to be a lot of different phenotypes and looks in the yellows. So that is interesting. Like just in terms of like a line breeding, or breeding kind of sense, because there's a lot of different looks that you can kind of reproduce, right? Not even just the color. You get the ones with the big ocelli, right? And you get the really bad ones. Maybe Cordensis. Well, Cordensis pattern wise are pretty similar. The colors really range on those, but for like a project for selective breeding, those Risingeri, there's a lot to be done there. Yeah, no, for sure, right? And it's funny because it's like depending on when I first got my original animals, like back in whatever 2014, yellow trees, and you know, it's like wherever they were collected, or at the time, it's like you only experienced the one look, right? Because they were probably all collected in the same location.
Yeah,
And then it's like, then you see some years later and you're like, what? Look at the pattern on that thing, right? That's totally different than what I have. And like, I got to get some of those. And, you know, so that's the game, right? It's like, man, now it's like, there's just so many different looks of things, like even just like green tree monitors, right? Prasinus. It's like even just getting Maruki locales or Jayapiras, and you know, even nice animals within those locales. I mean, it's like endless opportunities, you know.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. And then I can just imagine, as the years go on, I'm sure you're going to find all sorts of crazy stuff, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
even
Yeah,
like
they're just
the Bomii, right? The Bomii, there seems to be quite a range in looks in those, and
for sure. I'm speaking to Brian yesterday. He's produced some crazy ones. Really great. That picture he got up. What do you think about the Bomii? How are you finding the customer base on those guys? It's waned a little bit.
It's interesting because I feel like we've talked about this, right? But it's like it's the Bomii. You know, there was a really strong push for monitor aficionados like Brian and myself, and you know, if you were out, you'd be like, "Oh man, I gotta get Bomii," and you know, that initial wave of people that were really wanting to get them back to complete the set. That initial wave, I think all those people are sort of satisfied. They have pairs and things like that. And so now you're on to more of your average customer base. So I think that's kind of settled out the market on them a little bit. Having said that, though, they're still selling well. They're still selling like, you know, for, you know, reasonably high prices and stuff. So
I can't produce enough of them.
I thought that I thought that they'd take a big hit in the price game. Like I thought it was going to be, you know, oh God, people are like going to overlook these now unless I really just put them on par with something else. So it seems like they're still holding their value well, and I'm selling a lot of them. You know, well, a lot of them in terms of what versus what I'm producing, because they seem to be, my Bomii are the one species that it's like the time between clutches seems quite delayed, right? It's like, I don't know if you see the same thing, but it's like, I'll get a clutch of eggs every 4 to 5 months from females versus, you know, I could have black trees that'll give me, like I've had black trees give me a clutch every 2 months for a little window, you know? So
yeah, me too. They seem really productive. Even here, really productive as well. That's weird how it goes with some of them. The Bomii the same, long periods between clutches for the ones we've got here. Like I said, Beckerai in the UK, I was getting them every 2 months. We got so much stick on a video where I said here we can indoors, and we can get into this in a minute. The reason we did indoors, we can get multiple clutches. Outside, we can get, if we're lucky, 2 clutches just because of the weather, basically. Shuts down. The amount of comments, I'm glad I haven't got a YouTube channel. The comments on YouTube videos just seem to be the absolute worst compared to even Facebook. We're showing like obviously the facility and everything we got here, and then people just picked up on you shouldn't be breeding your tree monitors 4 times a year. I was like, I don't know what you think about that, but I mean, maybe not for 10 years you can do that, but it's hard to stop them when you get them going. Like
I was going to say, you're not doing anything; they're doing it. You're just you're just giving them the conditions that allow them to do that, right? Like, if again, it goes back to this. It's like, if the conditions are right, they have appropriate nutrition and food, and they're happy, they're going to do what the hell they want. And if you don't keep them together, you know, a lot of times they're just going to lay dud eggs anyways. They're just going to burn those, you know, so
which causes way more problems with like just being able to lay in fertile eggs. It seems worse than laying a fertile egg. They seem to scatter them a lot more and just be harder to get them out.
And then the other thing is too, it's like, how for somebody to say, oh, you're going to burn them out if you give them 4, or, you know, they lay 4 clutches in a year, blah, blah, blah. It's like, How do you know? You don't know the maximum capacity of what they're capable of. Maybe they're laying 4 clutches a year of 3 to 5 eggs or something, but in optimal conditions, they could lay 7, 8 eggs for, you know, so maybe the clutch size is different. Like they regulate themselves. I mean,
Yeah.
Right. It's like, I find that hilarious when people say, "Oh, I'm like, how do you know? Have you seen the efficiency chart on production of tree monitors handed down by Mother Nature?" And you know we're somewhere in the middle. It's like, no, you have no idea. If they can't do it, they won't do it. Like I have a blue tree monitor here right now that is like 16 years old, and like literally 16. I know when the store that I got her from, you know, got her roughly, and she was a baby when she came in, and that thing lays 5 eggs, pretty much 5 to 6 eggs every 3 months, like clockwork for like the last 13 years for me or something.
Oh, there you go.
Right. And it's no signs of slowing down. So when somebody tells me that'll burn them out, I'm like, okay, burn them out, or like, right. I don't know. You can't, you know, I don't know how that will burn them out. If they're not going to they'll just stop laying or slow down. What I did notice though is like the black trees were hilarious for this, because they'll just regulate themselves. So I went through a window with black trees where it's like, holy cow. It's like, boom, boom, boom. Every 2 months you're getting clutches of eggs from these animals. You're like, oh my God, I have so many black trees, right? If you like look at my Facebook page, it's always like black tree babies hatching, right? And so it's like, black trees. But then it's like I went away for the summer because I kind of live away from the farm at the cottage for a couple months doing that kind of cottage business, and my employees here, and I come back once a week. But it's like during the summer, it's like just feed them bugs and whatever. It's kind of like a shutdown for me. And then when I come back, it's like nobody wants to breed, right? So they almost like shut themselves down. Yeah, if you look over the course of, you know, if you just look at it in that 6-month window where you're getting eggs every 2 months, it's like, yeah, that's a lot of eggs in that window. But then if you stretch it out over the course of the year, well, they shut down here and they haven't done anything for another 4 or 5 months. So, you know, it's just funny. I mean, at the end of the day, I just let them do what they're going to do, you know?
Yeah.
I never like, the only thing I've like really been like, ooh, I should probably slow them down, has been like Kimberly rocks or Pilbaras or something.
They can go, I don't know, they can go probably six times a year, can they? Or even more?
Oh, dude, I had a Kimberly rock. My first pair of Kimberly rocks, I got a clutch of eggs every month for 13 months in a row. Now, the last clutch was only, I think it had 1 egg in it, right? It wasn't a big clutch, but every clutch preceding that was anywhere from 8 eggs to like 13. And like, it was ridiculous. And then she just shut herself down naturally. But I was like, that was over 100 Kimberly rock babies in a year from one female. It was insane.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
So they're totally capable, as long as the food's there, right?
Yeah, just need supporting. Like I said, you run into like bigger issues of trying to stop them a lot of the time. It takes a lot to stop them once they're starting on some of this stuff, especially like I said, I tried to stop breeding those Baccarat in England. And then she's still, I was like, she's not, surely if I just like reduce the food this much, she won't go again. And then she went again. I was like, oh, might as well just carry on what I was doing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and then the other thing is,
animals.
Yeah, if you try and stop them, and like if they're on a good rhythm and stuff, if you try and stop them, like who says you'll ever get that rhythm back? You know, it's like,
yes, yeah, that is another one.
Like people experience that all the time. Oh, I put them into cooling and now they won't breed again, or they did this, and I'm like, you know, it's tough.
Yeah, you
right?
want to keep him in that sweet spot. Yeah, for sure. It happens so often, doesn't it? You get one clutch and then another clutch, and then it, you know, something happens or whatever, and then they just go out of that cycle, and then getting them back into that cycle. I don't know. I thought it was all to do with food, a lot of time, which obviously is a massive thing of food cycling. And I think you can keep that going once they're on the cycle. It doesn't seem to be very environmental once they're on that cycle. You seem to be able to get them to cycle and cycle more with just using food. That initial cycle, I don't know how you think about it, Brandon. It doesn't seem to be about food entirely. I don't know if you agree or not.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, because obviously with what we're doing, we're trying to like, we can jam the food to them, right? And it's like, you can feed them as much food as you want and they're still not doing it. So, that initial cycle is a funny one. I was just talking to somebody the other day about, they were asking me about, should I pair my yellow trees? And my first question was, have they gone through that period of time, like that month or two period where they're very picky or won't eat at all? Because they were growing this animal up, right? I find that like your captive bred babies will do that once they reach about 2 years or so, then they'll go through this window of time where they don't really want to eat, and it's just like par of the course. Everybody panics, and I'm like, they just do it, right? But once they come out of that and start feeding again, then it's like, okay, they're ready to breed, right? But yeah, and then sometimes you see those females that they lock up with a male. They look like they've ovulated. They dig in the nest and all this stuff, and they'll like do everything they're supposed to do, and then they'll come out of the nest box and they'll even look deflated. And then you're digging around there, like, what the hell happened? There's nothing in there, right? I just refer to that as the phantom clutch. I'm like, she phantomed you, like it just seems to be what they do, right? And everybody's like, oh, the male must have eaten the eggs, or the female ate the eggs. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but it just seems to be a phenomenon. But yeah, that initial cycle is it can be tricky. Sometimes you're just like, oh, bam, they put them together and they go. But that initial one it's definitely not food related, I don't think, because obviously they're in a captive setup and you've been feeding the crap out of them and giving them everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's the risk of a bit like probably like what happens to these Similus and these Audatria of if they don't breed and you are feeding them like they need to be bred, then you run into problems pretty quick.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
The tree monitors,
they just get because you want them to burn off those extra calories by producing eggs, and if they don't get that jump, like I've had to kind of, there's been certain animals I'm like, what the hell, man, why aren't you doing anything? Like I had a female Bomei that was just like, I'm like, you're like the most perfect animal, but you don't do anything. You're just complacent in there with the male. So I pulled the male out. I was like, I'm just going to starve you. I'm just going to starve you for a month and a half, not like literally not feed you anything. And then just all of a sudden hammer you with the food and put the male back in and see what happens. And so sometimes you play around with like an environmental jolt like that, and that'll kick it into gear, right? But
do you do much with misting at all or not?
I do. I mist every, like, depends on the time, but usually it's every second day. I just manually do it though. I don't have like misting systems and stuff. I just go through with my hose. We're on a well, like we have well water here, spring water. So it's like nice, beautiful water. I just go through with the hose. I don't know if it's just that I'm old school or what, but I find the misting and the feeding is like a good opportunity to interact with everybody. And, so I like manually misting stuff. And so, but yeah, I do it. I was just like the other day, I was like, I should start spraying these things every day right now, because it's dry where I am. All right. There's no air humidity at all because everything's frozen. So now I'm like, okay, I'll just I'll spray every day a little bit and kind of kick it up. But in our summer, it's like, or spring, I'll do it every second day, basically. Just look at the lizards and look at the environment, and I'm like, oh, does it look moist in there? Do they look like they need a bit of misting? So I just gauge it that way, right? So that's what I do. But you have nice humidity all the time over there too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost of a problem. If we miss too much, then the humidity, like in here now with the aircon off, I'll turn it back on actually.
I can see you're starting to.
It's like 70% pretty much everywhere. So then humidity on. It causes way more problems than like in the UK and probably Canada, where you can bump the humidity quite easy. It's quite hard to get rid of humidity the other way around. You run into lots of mold issues, lots of blistering, not with the tree monitors, but like the snakes, for example. They just need to get a bit too humid, and they start getting scale rot and stuff. So it's like almost, I'd prefer not having not having high humidity and being able to raise it up rather than the other way around. So it could be a problem for sure. Just need loads of ventilation. Going on with the snakes that we're having all the blisters with, we just put them in mesh cages, and that sort of solved that problem. But like I said, we've just got so many to mist manually with the tree monitors. We've just put a misting system in there, but even that, I was like, do it for like, I think it was like 2 minutes on the timer. So I give the guy a time of 2 minutes, and I come in the next day and they would saturate. I was like, right, like try 1 minute, and I think it's down to like 30 seconds now.
That's the thing, right? It's like, and wetness is obviously different than humidity, right? So that's the balance, right? And I think that's what people forget. And it's just, I could imagine how hard that would be there with the relative humidity, what it is all the time, right? I mean,
it's easy to add, it's hard to take away.
Yeah, same with your problem over there. Like, I would assume for certain species is trying to keep them cool enough as well, right? Is that
it's weird because we're, like I said to you before, we're at 500 meters elevation. So like now it's almost too cold for a lot of stuff. We're having to put space heaters in with the snakes indoors. So they've all got like oil filled radiators in, but then it's like the opposite. It's never stable here, basically. So there's like a good couple of months that are perfect and everything's going well, but then you're always trying to battle either too cold and wet or too hot and dry, basically. I say not usually dry. But the tree monitors outside, it's been a particularly bad year for just how wet it's been. We didn't really have a good dry season. Usually it stops in like about March, April. It starts just not heavy rain. And then I kept asking the guys here, I was like, when's this rainy season going to stop then? And they would just give me the next month. I think we were in March. They go, April. And it was like still the same. I was like, April, when's the next, when's it going to stop? They're like, May. And then just went on all the way until about August, basically. So like, we can't count on that then. A bit like England here, just where we are here. I mean, the rest of Indonesia is pretty stable. It's just because of this elevation. There's just so much rolling weather. So I don't know if you've seen with the frill dragons, we've done these sliding roofs basically. So we're going to do that with all the tree monitors outside as well. Just means if it's really bad for like a day or something's not a problem at all. But if it's prolonged rain, then that's a problem. So we can just slide the roofs over, and that'll keep a lot of the heat in as well. Like I said, wet and cold is no good. Wet's okay. With hot, it's almost perfect. When it gets really hot here, sort of May time, hopefully, and then we get some good storms. Then that's when all the tree monitors outside, start breeding. So the first year I was here, that was it. But this year took a lot longer to get that really warm weather and some good storms coming through. And then, like I said, it's just the coldness at night here dropping down. I've worked out now if they get below about 23, 22 degrees and they're gravid, they'll lay the eggs. There'll be two, a clutch of 4. They'll lay 2 good eggs, nest them well. They'll come back out to try and heat up. If they if they can't heat up again, they just retain those eggs, or they just end up scattering them. They're never any good, those eggs. Yeah,
that's interesting, how that happens. And you're using those the bamboo tubes.
The bamboo, well, they've all got, every single cage has got, so if we talk about outdoors, every single cage has got exactly what the standard monitor black box filled with cocoa. It's on the floor and it's always really cold. And then they've got like an elevated tube, and a bit like I was saying to you on WhatsApp, 90% of the ones outside use those tubes, but I'm not sure it's because they prefer them tubes. I just think those tubes heat up really well, or a lot better than, you've got a big mass of soil that's, when it gets hot, it's okay. But when it gets cold, it takes a lot for it to warm back up. So I think they can choose that area in that tube where they probably get them, 28 degrees by the end of the day. And then they're laying overnight. It might drop, in the summer here, it only drops to about 25 C. So they're sort of just, on that sort of edge where if you go and dig in that box, I've tempted to go in those box the next morning and you're looking at, 19, 20 degrees of wet cocoa peat. It's not good. It's, on some of the hotter days or the hotter weeks, a lot of the Beccari last year laid in the nest, but like a normal standard, what we would say nest box. So I did say this to people. It's not like it's like this thing that we found that's amazing. I just think we've got a lot of animals and a lot of them have chose that. And then indoors, it was like 50-50. So they've got heated nest boxes indoors and those bamboo tubes, which aren't heated, but they're next to the hotspot. And it was about 50-50 on the choice of using them. So we're adding heat mats to those boxes outdoors this year. So we're running electricity out there. So that'll be the real test of whether they just prefer that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think you'll ever get like nesting for every single animal. I don't think you'll find one uniform thing that works for everything, right?
No.
So it's like you always have, like I have this stupid pair of Cordensis, and I don't know what the hell the female's problem is, man. It's like she never nests well, ever, right? It's like I'll give her a million options, other than I haven't tried the tube thing yet. But it's like nest box, elevated nest box on the floor, flat nest box, tall, like all sorts of stuff. I'm like, man, she never lays properly. And I can tell, it's like, she'll go in there for days. She'll be on the ground for days. And I'm like, oh, she's well past overdue laying now, right?
Yeah.
They're very secretive. This pair is very secretive when they actually lock up and mate. So I don't actually see that. I just look at the female like, yeah, you got eggs in you. Anyways, so with this female, it gets to the point now where it's like, she's never happy with anything I put in there. I just have to lock her in the nest box. Like I'll put her in the nest box and put a brick over the hole so she has no escape, and then she'll lay. And like half the time, because she's held on to them so long, you get some dud eggs in there, whatever. I'm like, this is not ideal. I got to try that tube thing with them, right?
Yeah, some people had some success. I can't remember. It might have been Matthew Crosman. I'm probably butchering that second name. Cosman. He had a nest box, I think normal heated, and then used I don't know if he used bamboo or he used like a PVC or something like that.
Yeah.
And it looked like a really good clutch in there. I can't remember what species it was. That worked really well. And then I've seen a few other people copy it now. We're using cork bark. It seems to work. I think you've been finding though with using like a tighter nest box, because you've been using the nest boxes and they go underneath. So maybe that's something to do with it, where it's a lot of a tighter space.
Yeah, like I mean, I found over like I've watched those those Croc Doc videos too on like breeding lace monitors, because I got lace monitors. So I started watching his series, and then he was a really big proponent of like packing soil up to the top of the hole and like all of this stuff. And I was like, I'm thinking to myself, in my tree monitor nest boxes, I never did that. There was always the air gap, right? So I'm wondering if they didn't like that, and that's why they preferred to dig under and really get in that tight space. So there's there's so much unknown stuff. You're kind of like trying to piece it together. But if I could get away with getting rid of bins full of like peat moss and sand and cocoa husk, I'd be like, oh, that'd be really nice, So I was going to try that that cork, or not the cork tube, the tube setup that you guys have with a couple animals.
We're super lucky here because the relatively humidity is so high. We don't even have to put any something. There's like some dry cocoa peat in there.
I saw that.
It's like you should be spraying that. And it's like, really, we don't need to, but I really don't think you'd be able to get away with that indoors. In the indoor ones, we use more substrate, but outdoors it just dries up in the day. That's the problem with it.
Yeah, I've seen a few of your videos where you're opening up the tube and the eggs are in there, and I'm looking at the substrate going, that's really dry. I'm like, I think to myself, he must have to find those eggs really quick before they desiccate. But if you're saying the humidity is like enough to just keep them going, I guess not, right? Like I know especially in the winter, if I had an egg that wasn't covered up or in a box or something and it was out for a couple hours, you'd just But yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I was going to try that bamboo tube style thing that you do with a couple females, and I was just contemplating how I would heat them, if need be. It's like, I could put them elevated and put them close to the basking spot.
That's what I did indoors.
Yeah, or do I like put them down more and actually supplementally heat them with whatever?
Tricky thing is they just heat up because there's not a lot of substrate in there. They just heat up very quickly.
Yeah, they heat up to whatever the ambient is, and
yeah. So it's not like you're not trying to, with the cocoa, but you're not trying to do a big massive substrate trying to get that warm. It sort of just matches pretty much wherever you put it within. All our ones are on the hot side, just on the wall, about halfway up.
Yeah.
Like I said, 50. It must have been about 50-50 on the indoor stuff. So that's why I'm like, it's not this magic bullet of or anything like that. I just think that's probably like the biggest thing in monitors, and especially tree monitors. The crop monitors have been a bit hit and miss. They seem to want it just heated. Again, I just got that clutch on New Year's Day. Before
that,
she wouldn't really nest. She'd sort of just lay them on top. Now she made like a nest right next to. We had 2 heat mats in there, and then another female. We used a heated box. So they don't seem to dig down much. A bit like those lacies that David's got. They seem to dig a bit and then lay them and put it back. But yeah, the tree monitors out of everything. I mean, those Similus have all got nest boxes in, and they'll dig under the nest box in this really dry, horrible. It's almost like it's just like soil, basically.
Yeah.
Like the natural soil. That's what's at the bottom of them, and they'll dig in there rather than this lovely, nest box.
I know.
So yeah, some species, well, the tree monitors especially, are just so particular on it. I don't know what they're doing in the wild where it's so specialized. I mean, every single island I've been to now, the ground is so hard. I just cannot see that they would bother to dig into it. It's got to be in like a hollow log or like a fern or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're digging. And this is the other thing with those bamboo ones, and maybe what you're finding with those nest boxes. I don't think they're digging down like they do in those boxes so far. It's that knackers them out as well. You've seen, but they come out pretty knackered.
Yeah, I wonder because it's like some of them in the nest. If you have like 12 inches of substrate in there, some of them will dig down to the bottom, but then some of them will just dig a few inches down and then lay them right there and then barely cover them up. And it's like, yeah, dude. Again, it's all a mystery. There is no. There is.
And between individuals and like you probably found, they can do it for like months on end and love the nest box, and then all of a sudden just switch up and nothing's changed. It's bizarre.
Oh, I find that as they get older, they get pickier, right? Like that's what I find with myself. It's like, man, they're like, your wife after 20 years, she's just like, man, it's just, I need this altered, and I like looking around that I need that painted and I need that renovated, and oh man, it's like that's what they're like. They're like high maintenance wives.
Yeah, for sure.
My wife just in the bedroom went, oh my god.
That's boring, I guess.
You'll find out soon enough.
Yes, I will. Yeah. She's asleep over there. So.
But yeah, there's literally there is no secret recipe, man. There's not one thing.
No, the tree monitors for sure. It just seems just a step above everything else that I've bred when it comes to nesting. The breeding and stuff, when you get it going and cycling, seems okay, but that nesting seems a trouble.
Yeah, it's trouble for everybody. And the weird thing is like you go through a period of time, exactly like you said, where it's like, oh yes, everything's loving their nesting spots. Like you have it dialed in for when you think you have it dialed in for every single pair that you have, and then all of a sudden you're like, somebody like pulls you right back down. Like, shit, man.
Yeah,
shit,
like, don't know anything. We know nothing for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
What was I going to say? Oh, I forgot. Should we talk about the green phase blue tree monitors?
Oh,
Just had a couple come out.
Yeah.
How you finding? Are they keeping the green or not?
My adult, I like I said, I picked up a pair that were like really green and not really, really green, but they had that green tinge to them. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'll grab that. And then as I had them here, they were young animals. And it's like, as I had them, the green in the adults that I had kind of, faded from when I originally got them. My initial thought was, I wonder if it's like staining on the skin from something, or what was it, dietary? What was it, right? So it's funny because I didn't really think much of it after a little while, but then they bred and when I hatched the babies, I was like, oh shit. Like, I was like, holy smokes. There has to be a genetic component too, because these babies are really green. And I haven't sold any of those green phase babies yet. I've just been holding on to them. And they seem to be maintaining their green. Now, I don't know how that will, I don't know how that will hold up in time. Or, my thing is, even if right now it doesn't, like, I mean, let's say these ones, I raise them up and then it's like, okay, they kind of just look a little bit, a little bit more green than a normal one. It could be one of those line breeding projects where you're like, okay, let's line breed this, see if we can get it. But
doesn't seem Well, I haven't really worked it out yet. I'm nowhere near work it out. We found 2 in Batanta.
Yeah.
So in exactly the same spot, which we'd not done before, we found a textbook blue one, and then a greenback one within the same area, and it was literally very, very green. And they've been turning up obviously a lot more, the ones with greenbacks, from obviously Batanta now. I think before they all come from IM Island, which is a small. They all seem to be textbook blue, and we have obviously seen a lot more of these greenback ones now. But I've sold some, I think, to the UK, and they turned. I didn't sell them as being green or anything. I just said these were they were being kept outside, and they were green. And he told me the other day they've turned back to just textbook blue. Yeah. So it's weird. I really don't know. And then we've got that fully green one. Unfortunately, he doesn't breed with anything, but I mean that's like completely green. I just can't get him. He's just not interested in breeding, like, at all. He's just one of them, typically it's going to be one of those animals that we really need to breed to see what's going on, and he's just going to be a breeder, which sucks, obviously. And then I've got a few other ones that I've got a very, very green one that I captive bred here, but she's outside, and that's the one I posted quite recently. It's like really, really green, just got blue arms. But yeah, I can't work out what it is. And then like you've got there, sometimes they just come out green and then fade to blue, and then sometimes they keep it. It's almost like a polygenic, and then a polygenic thing. I just need to get 2 really green ones together and see what comes out, which I haven't been able to do yet.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know if this is related or not to the coloration, but when I grabbed that pair that looked green, the even just, I can't even put my finger on it, but just the patterning of it was slightly different than the group that I was working with initially. So I don't know if that's related. I was like, oh, maybe it's a locale thing, because the pattern's it seems slightly different. But then it's weird because I have a buddy here that he got some animals from me, just from my like original blues, not anything green, and then he ended up getting a wild collected female too that I think on the surface just looked normal, like a normal blue tree, but then he produced like 1 or 2 green babies as well, and it was like, so it seems like it must be a polygenic thing. You get the right combination of alleles together and genes together, and then boom, you get the odd animal here. There, I think Brian said the same thing. He sold a male blue to somebody, or sold a hatchling blue to somebody. Really, and then a year later or whatever, the guy sends a picture back to him and it's like, look at how green this thing is. Brian's like, holy geez, so it's
the only thing that throws me off is the ones that go a green and then are turning back to blue. Like I said, those ones that I sent to the UK were like really green, and then he said, oh, they've just turned blue. That seems weird, rather than they stay green. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's another cool thing to look at.
Yeah, it seems like the ones that I have seen here, like the ones that my buddy produced there that were initially green, it's like over time they like faded back to blue as well. So
they definitely occur. They definitely occur in Batanta with these were adult specimens, and one was textbook and one was completely green back. So I don't know what it is. It seems, and to be fair, I was looking through the pictures. Most of the ones I've seen on Batanta now from the area we were collecting, which is sort of North Batanta, that seems to be a more common phenotype. Is that green back?
Really?
Like, not fully green, but more of a green back. So it's weird. They're definitely not hybrids. I mean, that's what we definitely need to put out there.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say we got to bring that up at some point. Because when I posted that picture of the comparison, everybody, like not everybody, but there was a few people right away. Hybrid. I'm like, no.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, it's like, just because something. I mean, people have to understand that when we classify animals and stuff, all right, when you're doing scientific classification, like color is the last thing you classify something by, right? Because color is so variable. And if you're looking at a dead specimen versus a live specimen, obviously the color is different. So they try to avoid using color in identification, right? So, I mean, definitely, if you look at those animals, there's definitely a McCrae pattern and everything about them as McCrae.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, I explained to my genetics class, like, you know, blue coloration, green coloration, and yellow coloration. You can understand how if, you know, you have, let's say the ancestral species of tree monitor was probably a green, but in order to make that green, you have yellow and blue pigments mixing together. So it makes total sense that you'd have branching. Oh, okay. On one island, yellow takes off and, you know, blue is selected for, right? And then, and it makes total sense why you'd have some green and blue tree monitors, right? You get, you know, so it's just, you know, you don't classify them by that. And I understand why there is that variability in that color system. So that's just where that's why I said maybe Chris knows more, but like locality stuff on the islands, or maybe like a sub island, but definitely not a hybrid situation. Like anybody, anybody that's seen true hybrids of, you know, crosses between the species, they're just the junk.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm hoping for like I said, a polygenic thing, just because I know that small island I am, where they, you know, the first blue tree monitors, that's where they all come from, basically.
Right.
That would make sense. And Nick Mutton brought this up. He was like, well, it makes sense if all of those were blue and they only bred with blue ones, then you just get blue ones. Where on the mainland, where they've come in the, you know, the last 15 years or whatever, you've got a bit more variability there. And like I said, loads of them that I found have had this green back. And then, like I said, I've just got that one fully green one is interesting as well, obviously, to have one that's completely green. It's almost like that's like the, you know, these other ones might be hets or something like that. I don't know. Polygenics obviously doesn't work quite as easy as that. But obviously everything's lined up for that one to be completely green. So I just need to breed that and then see if you get all greens or all.
Yeah, it's just like, it's like that animal has a hyper expression of yellow, right? It's like, and then it's like making it all look, which is wicked, right? Like that looks pretty cool. That like green, that like minty green McRae, I was like, that looks pretty neat, man.
I'm not holding my breath on it. I've had animals before where you just know they're going to be a bad breeder. You're like, oh, you're a bad breeder. I've like tried him with a fair few females now, and he just goes and sulks on his own somewhere else.
That's funny. Oh man, I was just talking to Catherine Brown last night about like changing things up or switching males around, because it's like, man, some pairs, I very rarely, but like sometimes you put things together and they just don't work, right? So I had a stagnant Bomei pair. And they just like, I mean, the female's so prime, ready to do something, never, you know, not doing anything. It's like, man, your male's a big male. He's pretty bullish. You know, are you stressed out by him? And it's like, okay, let's pull that male out and shuffle in a new, smaller, gentler male. And it's like within 24 hours they were locked, right? Because I was like, man, she's looking like she's cycling. So yeah, it is funny. I would say 90% of the time that's not the case, but then you get, you know, 10% of the time there is that like cohesion between the male and female. But
I found going to like the crop monitor, I'm starting doing it with the tree monitors now. The fertility when using multiple males is like so much better. For the crop monitors especially, that's a good thing for them. Yeah, we're getting quite a lot of infertiles now. I use 2 males because, you know, we're just trying to breed. They're the right locality. We're not really doing any selective breeding. Just chucking 2 males in there, so we're like cycling them and getting like 100% fertile clutches, where before it was sort of half and half with 1 male. So I've tried to do that a little bit with the tree monitors now as well. So that's something to look at. That's a way to just trying to increase that fertility a bit. Might get rid of some of Brian's male Bomei if I say that.
Yeah, there you go. That's weird. He seems to like, of the ones he held back, he kind of had a crappy ratio with males to females. It seems with at least what he has for sale there, or had for sale. So it's like, that happens every once in a while, right?
Oh yeah, those, like I said, those mixed are the opposite. You just get all females. It's just, I produced out of those 2 clutches. I stupidly sold one to Matthew, who's got it now, and then I was like, oh my god, I've got no males, and I think I got another 2, so there's like 3 compared to all the rest of females. So yeah, it can go like that sometimes.
Yeah, and I find that like my McRae are really female heavy. I don't know why that might be, but it's like, it seems like everybody who in the past, like just local people, I'll sell an animal here or there or whatever locally, and it's like, you know, all these people 2 years later, oh, I need a male, and it's like it's like all the time, like where males are in a huge shortage for McRae for me. I was like,
yeah,
you know, he gets you thinking, are they like somewhat temp sex determined or what? But
yeah,
you know, to some, who knows, right? But
maybe it's yeah, I don't know how it works with the tree. I don't know if everyone's worked it out.
yeah,
Because they're not XY, are they? With the monitors, I wonder
right.
if I wonder if the male can sort of only give over the female gene or vice versa. I
Yeah.
don't know how it works. I don't know.
Um,
But yeah, it's strange how that works.
Hey, just with your croc monitors, did you? So, you said you're using multiple males? Are you putting multiple males in an enclosure at the same time?
Oh no!
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay.
All
right.
We have a lot of bloody messes. No. So I'll put them in for like 3 days, and then just take the male out. Even sometimes when the male's still breeding with the female, because otherwise, and the tree monitors are way worse for this. They'll lock up for so long. The crocodile monitors won't lock up for as long usually. Crop monitors seem to be a weird thing where they'll lock up for 2 weeks, get pretty bored with each other, and then if you reintroduce even the same male, if you take them out, leave it a week and reintroduce, then they will start breeding again. And often that's the one that you actually get the egg if you count the days from that one rather than the first ones. Where the tree monitors, I find sometimes they'll lock up for weeks on end.
Yeah.
Even after like 3 days of locking up, I'll just put a brand new male in there, and they usually lock up again and sort of go through the same sequence. So just keep changing them between them. But like I said, we're lucky to have lots of cage space and stuff. It's not easy to keep a crocodile monitor.
my problem would be moving the bloody things around, right? It's like, first of all, I only have the one main massive crocodile monitor enclosure.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. So it's like, man, I can't imagine trying to wrangle that male and getting him out of there if he's not willing. You know what I mean? I have to move him out into a sub enclosure or something and give the female time to sit. And I was wondering, because I have that pair, and they've locked up a couple times now. And one time was like back in June. I first got the female, just to make a long story short, it's the female that I have with the male right now is a loner female. And she came to me from a buddy of mine, and she was just massively obese, and she just had a small enclosure, and the person just like fed her a lot, and she couldn't move around. She wasn't very active, like to the point where when I got her, like I opened the shipping container, and it was just this gelatinous thing sitting in the bottom, and she couldn't climb the trees on her own. Like it was, just she had no muscle tone. She never had anywhere to move around. So I had to build her like a handicap ramp so that she could like walk up a platform to the basking area, and so when I first got her, I had her isolated for a little bit, and then I was like, man, I thought I saw some signs of cycling with the female, so I was like, I'll put her in with the male, and I put her in with the male, and I was like worried because you hear horror stories of stuff, and I was like, and anyways, it was like love at first sight. I mean, they were actually so gentle with each other, and within 12 hours of introduction, they had locked, right? And I was like, oh, holy, look at me, right? But I was like, she's kind of fat, so we'll see what happens. And then nothing happened with that. And I thought maybe she was retaining eggs or something. And I was like, man, I should really pull that male, because, I know females will retain eggs if the male's in there. And I was like, but man, that's going to be a chore to get that guy out of there if he doesn't want to, right? It's like, fuck it. He's like, I mean, he's nice enough now, but I don't trust that thing.
No, that is the challenge. I'm lucky enough to have some Indonesians that I have to tell them to be careful a lot of the time, because they'll grab them by the tails and they'll swing around. I'm like, oh my god, they use big. They're like for like dog handling, basically. Really good gloves. They've been tagged a few times, and I'm just like, please be careful, please be careful. But yeah, they managed to do it. It's it's not good, but they've got a good way to run. Again, we're outdoors, so they're big enclosures, so you can sort of run away from them. But they're quite placid until you grab them by the tail. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But going back to the Salvador, they're really, really good at reabsorbing the eggs, like massively.
Are they?
Yeah, they get to. I obviously use the ultrasound here quite a bit, and they can get to like 40 millimeters, which it's like the point of ovulation for those guys, and then they'll stay at that for a month, and then they'll just slowly start decreasing. Really, really bad for it. And funny enough, it's the big females that seem to do that. All the best Salvador females I got are really young, small ones, and they get put in with these giant males. There's no way that's going to breed with it. But like you said, super, super gentle. But yeah, that seems to be the trick. I lost a few that they'd had here for a long time, but that were just massive. And then they did manage to get eggs, but then just got egg bound. And then I've got a female here that I must have locked over, I don't know, 20 times in the last year and a half, and then just you look on the ultrasound, gets to 40 millimeters and then just reabsorbs. So
I wonder. Yeah, it's because I have this big one from my buddy, and I'm just like, I'm not somebody who really likes to take adult animals and stuff because you don't know the history.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, you kind of get excited because you see him lock, but in the back of your mind, you're like, I know this isn't gonna probably do something. So they locked again like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's funny though, this time around, after they locked, she has been going crazy for food, and I haven't, like, leading up to this, I haven't really fed her much because she was already so fat. I was actually trying to lean her down to the point where I didn't feed her anything really. And now, and she was almost on her own accord. She wasn't really super interested in food, like, over the last 4 or 5 months since I've got her. And now, since they last locked up, she has been like unbelievably aggressive to the point where she's like chasing the male around for food. So I'm like, this is different, so that's good. I wonder if it'll lead to anything. But I also have my own, and this is what I was like wondering, because I know female crocs can breed pretty young and pretty small, and I have a beautiful one that I was been raising up. Right, she was like I would say she's like, maybe she is adult now. She's significantly smaller than the female that's in with the male now, but that is my primary female that I'm raising up. And I'm just like, she's probably going to breed like amazingly when I throw her in with the male. It's just like, when do I do that? Because you look at the size differential between that female and male, and like, ooh,
Yeah, send me some photos over, and I'll have a look for you for sure. But I was shocked with how small and the disparity in size between some of the males I put in now with these females. But they're just like really, really gentle breeders, and you're like, I don't even know how that fits, but it does.
Okay. Do you ever do multiple females in a enclosure? No, okay.
No. Just they're all kept singly, and then I just pair them up when they go into a cycle. Apart from that one in the aviary, so that one in the aviary in that massive, great big cage, they're paired up. Yeah, that's the one we just had a clutch from, the Jayapuras. They're paired up year round, and then she just goes and lays the eggs. The male was sunbathing on the top, didn't affect her at all, and she didn't become aggressive towards him or anything. Which is nice, but that's just like a zoo size enclosure.
Do you find that the Salvador, I hear from I was listening to a podcast about a guy who'd done it in the States, bred a few of them, and he was like, they really like the cold. So I wonder, like, if you're at elevation, if that's...
They do. Yeah. I've said it a few times. Like, they'll probably be out now. It's literally probably 20 degrees out there and bucking down with rain, and they'll sit out in it. They're literally one of the ones I was afraid when I first got here, because we built up so many of them. I'd separated them all off, really nice animals, and they just kept sitting in the rain, on these bamboo ledges basically. That's got it's going to get respiratory or something like that. It's freezing cold. I'm in a jumper, but they just do seem to appreciate the cold, or at least get on with it.
Yeah, I wonder. And for those females, those big females that you're saying, the older ones that reabsorb follicles, have you noticed that there's any way to kind of kick them in and force them to ovulate, or you haven't dialed that in yet?
The ones I had ended up passing away, unfortunately. The two that I can think of, but we cut them open, and there was just like masses of fat around. I just don't think, there was a really nice big clutch in there, and then there was just so much fat. I just think it just got a blockage, basically.
Oh.
I think that's probably the biggest takeaway of this episode is same with the Simless and everything is you just need to keep these a lot thinner than you think or people think.
Yeah.
It just seems to be that's the biggest. That's the most animals we lose here are ones that have been, you know, smashed for food, and the worst breeders are the ones that have been completely smashed for food. So I think, yeah, they don't need as much food as you think.
Oh,
sure.
no. Yeah, and it seems like the Indonesian stuff, aside from the tree monitors, I mean, because tree monitors, it seems like they hold weight differently, but like the Indonesian stuff, the croc monitors and the Simless and Timors and Affenbergi, man, they can
just turn into sausages.
Yeah, they just turn into sausages, and it doesn't take much. That's the killer, right? Like you know, it can creep up on you very quickly, and it doesn't. Like, I mean, they could get that way just by eating bugs. I think, you know, you don't have to feed them anything else. It's crazy.
It's that cycle. I've done it. I've ruined, you know, animals here and then animals at home before, and you know, taken a good year or so to try and get them down of trying to get them to cycle feed, and then them not having the clutch. Like if you can get them, if you can cycle feed them, give them loads of food, and they have a clutch, especially with the tree monitors, you're golden. They look really good. They don't look all skinny and emaciated. Probably why we can do it 4 times a year, a bit like we were saying before, where they actually don't actually look too bad when they come out. But if they don't have that cycle, then they hold it on, and then you try and do it again, it just like compounds onto them. So I mean, some of the tree monitors we breed here, Brandon, are like rakes. Like I can't believe you've laid 4 eggs. We don't outdoors. We don't get big clutches like you do indoors, or like some of the stuff you're getting. The average is about 3 eggs outdoors, so they're a lot smaller. But they're rakey females.
Yeah, it's funny though. It's because like my initial female Macraea that I ever received, that was like when I first got her, I was like, oh yeah, I know she's been raised in this pet store, right? Since a baby, but she wasn't beefy and robust or anything. She was like quite lean. And I remember first getting her and bringing her home, and I was like, oh man, I got to put some weight on her before I try and breed her. And she would pick away. Like she wasn't the greatest feeder even. And she would eat some eggs and some pinkies, but never very much of that stuff. She loved crickets. And I was like, whatever. She had laid dud eggs before. So I was like, I'm going to put the male with her. And like, to my surprise, she bred fairly well in that condition, you know, relative to what I see some of the other females, you know, that I have now breeding like. And it's like her offspring too almost have that same body style, like where they're just like lean, for what I would think could produce the way she produces. So it is amazing their capabilities, but it's almost in monitors, it is almost like good to have that lean body, you know, for production. Like we were talking about, as soon as you get that sausage like look, forget it. Forget it. You know, they're not breeding.
A bit like we're saying with the humidity and everything. It's easy to add on. It's very hard to take off.
Right. That is the problem, right? They can put weight on pretty quick, but man, it's like that female croc monitor. When I got her, she was really fat, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to lean this thing out. And it's like I literally did not feed her for months and months and months, like from June until probably mid-November, right? She maybe ate 5 prey items, and I'm talking like not big stuff, like chicks, like 5 chicks, might, like that's it. Just to, are you, you know, do you still remember how to eat, sort of stuff, right? And that was it. And she's still like, I mean, you could tell she was losing weight, but it's not like, you know, it's not like anything else.
Slow process. Send me a picture of that one you've got, because I think you'd probably be surprised on that. Are they all Merauke ones?
Yeah, they're all Meraukes. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, they're a lot smaller as well anyway.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's like one of those things too. It's like, Crocs, do I set up an enclosure for each locality? It's like, man, it's crazy. You know. Yeah,
I think the Merauke ones are probably the best for people keeping them inside. They're you know, they're still a massive, great big long lizard, but the Jayapura ones are massive. I think that I've measured that male, and he's like 2.5 meters. So he's getting up there.
What's your favorite locality of them?
The Jayapuras for sure. They're the ones they got really, but they just get so much bigger. Like all the Jayapura ones we hear, all the males are giants, like absolute giants.
Really?
The Merauke ones are definitely 100% smaller than all of them. Then the Strongs sort of sit in the middle. But as far as looks go, the Jayapura ones are amazing. They got really, really nice spots, loads of yellow going through them. The Merauke ones are really nice as well. I mean, yeah, they're probably the Strong ones are probably the most boring. They're like the most classic looking. They're just all sort of black with a lot of spots. But yeah, the Jayapura ones, for how nice they look, they just, I couldn't imagine keeping some of the ones we got here indoors. It'd just be insane.
Yeah. Eh? Like, would you say your longest male is, like, tip to tip?
Yeah, about 2.5 meters.
Yeah, 2.5. Wow. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
That's
the other ones, I think the record is like 3 meters maybe, or 280. So I thought it might beat this record. It's massive, absolutely massive. And then yeah, all the other Jayapura ones were like 230, something like that. So yeah, all big. Where all the Merauke ones are considerably smaller. It just seems to be the males. The Strong females aren't too big. But yeah, you just get these giant males.
Yeah,
so I couldn't imagine keeping them indoors. So oh my god. So yeah, I mean they're just special. And your setup looks amazing for them. I seen that Reptiliatus video. I really like that setup.
Oh, okay, good. It's got the approval. No, I was like, man, how do you? Again, I've never worked with them in any serious capacity, so I'm going to give them a go, and we'll just see, right? They seem to like it relatively cool. I mean, they, and so they kind of work out in that basement nicely. Yeah, we'll see what happens. What I really wanted, I can't wait for, is to introduce that young grow up female.
That male. Yeah. I literally did it here. The first year I was trying to breed all these big old females because I was like, there's no way that little thing's going to breed. And then, like I said, ran into all them problems. I think I got 1 clutch or something the first year. And then I started using all these young fit females, growing up these smaller females. And it's like, oh, just try it. And then, it's been pretty good so far. So yeah, I think that's the key. The males doesn't seem to make a difference apart from just like, I've got some pictures of even those Jayapura ones. That's that big male. I don't even know how he's managed to do that, but they're just so gentle with each other. And the females, when they're receptive, a bit like the tree monitors, are so receptive. They make it so easy. The males are always bumbling around, getting the wrong way around, and she'll readjust when she wants to breed. So yeah, don't worry.
Yeah,
about
I'll have to give you the dimensions of my grow up female. Merauke, because again, you've seen more of them than I have, and I'm just like, I don't want to do something too early. Having said that, though, this female she's got to be 4 years old now, at least 4 or 5 years old. So, because the problem is she came into Canada as a young animal as well, and she kind of bounced around a little bit, and then I ended up getting her. But she's in really good condition. She's beautiful. She hasn't, and she's been growing this whole time. So I'm just wondering, like, how much more growth do I need to get on her before I introduce the male, or is she big enough now? Like, she's definitely old enough. I mean, but
yeah. We sent some really young ones to Singapore Zoo, and they got them breeding within, I think, like 3 or 4 months of being there. And they were the smallest ones I've seen, and I think they got a good clutch out of them, and they're going again. I was like, well, that's what sort of shocked me, and I think made me look at a lot of the ones I had here. I was like, oh wow, they just got a clutch out of that, and that was considerably small.
Yeah,
there were a couple of long ones. So yeah, I'll send you some pictures of the ones that I've had good clutches off here, and then you might be pleasantly surprised. But yeah, the old big females is just doesn't seem to work out.
Not a winning
even if you can get them to breed, they seem to just run into problems. If they're sort of like saving themselves by reabsorbing, a bit like humans, I guess. With women overweight, they can't really produce eggs properly. And then the ones where they do have eggs just seems to cause a massive problem. There's just so much fat in there when you look inside them.
That's the risk, right? That was the risk with this female that I got from my buddy. I was just like, man, it's like, there could be serious complications if you try and breed the thing at this size, right? Like, man, in our experience, if you have fat lizard. It never works out. Like, I mean, I've even seen it with Ackies, you know, Ackies that are just gigantic and sausages. And then you try and breed them, and it's like they die. They don't do anything. It's like just they're gone, right? So
yeah, it's killer. Are you working with any of the indica stuff? Okay, aside from the other from the croc monitors?
No, I haven't. No kind of mangrovey stuff yet. I want to get some of the spinulosis, like the Solomon Island.
Okay, yeah.
Monitors. Just I like them because they kind of look like croc monitors a little bit, like the pattern and stuff, and they stay nice and small. So nothing along those lines yet. I did get a pair of tricolors, but they were for a buddy of mine, and I was like, oh man, I really would like to get some tricolors too. Work with. They were kind of on my list of things to do because it doesn't seem like many people have bred tricolors, if any, in North America. So I was like, oh, that'd be interesting. And they are beautiful. They're just from what I've heard, they're a bit of a nightmare to like work with and stuff. So yeah, not good.
Yeah, just not good. Yeah, they're just a pain. They're just, if they weren't so beautiful, I don't think anyone would like them. They're like, they've got their own nuanced, but they're just hard. They're the most hard work out of everything. I paired loads up last year, ovulating females, cycling females, and then the female would kill the male would kill the female. They're just a real hard work. I've got them in some massive enclosures now for breeding season next year, and see if that works out. They're being like a tricolor monitor. They're almost like they're three different monitors in one. They're like a mangrove monitor. They're like, they can be quite fossorial. They can be quite aquatic. They can be quite arboreal. They're very skittish. They can be very defensive / aggressive, whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just like nothing else really. They're very strange, but they're just hard work.
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go on.
Oh, I was going to say, have you like produced them on the farm yet, or?
I haven't personally. No, they've produced them here before, but probably more luck than judgment, and having a lot of animals, but not I could take credit for. Like I said, all the ones I tried to do were just killing each other, which was just a nightmare. Really, really stunning animals. So I've got a couple being raised up together at the moment. They're called like sub-adult. Well, they're probably adults now, and they're fine. They're not breeding or anything, but they're not killing each other. Right. And then the other ones, I've got a load of females. I think like 6 females in really, really big enclosures. So I'm hoping I can get them cycling, get the male in there. Hopefully they lock up pretty quick, and then I can get the male back out. It's like one of them. They just don't seem to like each other.
Yeah, it seems like a nightmare. There's a guy out here in Canada that has a pair. I mean, he's telling me stories about how have like chased him across the room, like shit like that. Yeah. Want to play with something like this.
I hate to call things like aggressive because they will just run away from you. But when they're cornered, they're not afraid of chucking you down. And it's the only. I thought the Salvadoria were going to be like that, and those are definitely not. They're only aggressive when you try and grab hold of them. Where these tricolors, if they're cornered, they will, they'll lunge at you and they do feel very, very defensive. But yeah, they're an interesting one. I mean, the baby ones are beautiful, and I think if you worked with them, the cat get some real captive bred ones, and a bit like we're saying with all this stuff, I bet they're probably a different lizard. They just seem to be very, very highly strung.
Yeah. And how's what was I going to say? How's your production of colii going over there?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah. Really good to be fair. Again, they're fairly easy. I haven't found any problems. I don't really do much with them at all over. That's one of the other a job for the other keeper. But yeah, good.
Yeah, okay. Because they're I mean, in my opinion, in terms of like mangroves or even a larger, a slightly larger monitor outside of Odacea, those things are amazing. Like those are really cool. But you just never see them. Like I never see any really come in. There's a few floating around in the United States, and it's like, oh man, somebody gets those pumping out in any numbers. That's a really good one.
Yeah, I think Brian's, again, they're ones that can breed really small, really small. I've got pictures of them breeding and eggs off them from like, like a 2-foot lizard.
Really?
Yeah. You're really. I told Brian Duraka, he's got some. I was like, mate, they'll breed really small. And he's like, oh, really glad I listened to you because they're locked up now and they're tiny. So yeah, not one I really focus on just because they do so well, and sort of try and focus on the stuff that's not doing well. They've been breeding me here for quite some time.
And the Colii, they just kind of do their own thing and they produce reasonably well for you, and it's all good.
About six eggs at a time. They're all in mesh enclosures, outdoor. I'm literally looking. I don't know. I'm looking. It's all dark out there, but they're literally down here by my room. They're really good at nest. All that indica stuff seems really easy to nest. Most of them go to, and we end up sending them to Japan a lot of the time. That's where they tend to go. Just buy
I was going to say because they're really pretty. But I just never see them come in. I mean, in terms of like in Indonesia and monitors that are kind of uncommon in the hobby here that are there, like things like the turquoise monitor. Like, are you working with any of those? What's the Latin, the pronunciation of the Latin on those? Do you know?
Cara. No, it's a really bad one.
I know.
Caruliverens, which means blue backed basically in Latin. Caruliverens.
Yeah.
What have you got? You've got the white. Is it white lip? No, not white lip. White tree frogs, Crucia, which is almost the same. Something to do with Latin and being blue or blue backed or something like that. There's no export quota for them. So the ones that do get exported are exported illegally. So yeah, we don't.
Okay.
They should be going on. Yeah, so that's one that shouldn't be exported. Basically, there's no quota for those at the moment. But we have asked the scientific authorities to add them on here.
Right. Okay.
Then we'll be able to export them there. And there's loads floating around in the Indonesian hobby. I mean, they're a fairly common monitor in Halmahera. Beautiful, really, really beautiful, and fairly small as well.
Okay.
They just can't be exported properly yet.
So probably the ones that have come out in there's been a few that have trickled into the US. They've probably been exported as like mangroves or
Jobiensis probably. They got blue tails. Yeah. But yeah, they wouldn't have. There's no way they could have come in as Caruliverens, the turquoise monitor. But they'd be good and really nice and small. There's a few. There's Tannenbaum monitors, which I'm working with over here. Hopefully, again, they get a quota. It's a weird one on those. They were only described 2 years ago or last year, so they're not recognized by CITES yet, and they're not recognized by the Indonesian government. So they might still, a bit like the green tree pythons, they've all been split up. I think we can export those as indicas. Because they were under indicus. So they're really cool. I'll post in some videos. I've just got enough now of captive bred ones because that's a really small island. I wanted to get a load of captive bred ones together so I could offer them to the market basically. Because I just don't want the other farms don't seem to have cottoned onto them just yet, and I just hate for them to go and smash that island. But they're really cool, really small. Look a lot like a Colii, basically. And there's a morph. When working with a morph, I haven't worked out the morph yet. I've just got the possible hets. But it looks like it's an exanthic. So hopefully working with hets for them. But yeah, they're very cool. There's a few good stuff that's going to be coming out of Indonesia. Hopefully this year. Like I said, Aldatria wise, there's another species of Aldatria. I've bred those here. Just waiting to get those. It's just they've just recently described it as a subspecies of Timorensis, so we'll be able to export those because CITES doesn't believe in subspecies. Basically, they'll just be classed as Timorensis, which they're complete opposite. So yeah, there's cool stuff that comes up all the time, which keeps it interesting for me for sure.
Yeah, no, it's like Christmas, man. It's like, this is wicked, right?
I just want to, anything like that. Those Timors come from a tiny little island, so I really want to get a good population of captive bred ones out, release those to the market, so it like satisfies the market. So hopefully it means that, you know, people won't want the wild caught ones if they do, you know, if that happens.
Yeah.
So that's always the problem. But moving on of other beautiful things, we're working with some very beautiful snakes now.
Yeah. Thanks to Brian Susan. Yeah.
Oh, really, Brian?
Well, Brian, we were talking, like, we always, like, you know, as keepers, and obviously we like the rare stuff. And I remember talking to Brian maybe like a year ago, about just like, I wonder what's kind of out there that hasn't been done, that is like, you have to have certain things, right? They have to be hard to breed, hard to acquire. They have to be utterly beautiful, right? That kind of fits the criteria of things that I'm looking for in a project. And Brian's like, oh man, if you could get Goniosoma margaritatum, those are like, you know, those are amazing. And at the time I had just heard whispers of them, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe, you know, like, and then I started diving into them, and I was like, I used to do a lot of snakes, and I had some fairly rare ones like Amazon basin emerald tree boas, and had those, and Boland's pythons, and blackheads, and womas, and a few other like rare, you know, really nice stuff. And then I kind of got rid of it when I had kids like 15 years ago, just to focus on the monitors, because I didn't know how much time that would take up and all that stuff. So yeah, I was like, man, you know, if I get back and say it has to be something crazy, like it has to be something super unique. So yeah, so that's kind of the progression. And then I was just, you know, they seem to be coming available, right? Which I don't know, I don't know what's going on over there with them exactly. And it's like, ooh, but you see in like people in Europe advertise them and stuff. And yeah, so they're becoming available, which is interesting. But yeah, they are unbelievable.
Yeah, so anyone that doesn't know what they are, these beautiful video of one here. Yeah, I mean, they're stunning in person. You know, video doesn't do them justice at all. They're
No.
like, best way I can describe them is like a stained glass window almost.
Yeah,
with all that edging and stuff around. But yeah, again, there was no quota for them up until recently. Only got added last year, and then now there's a quota for them, so they'll be turning up. They're really expensive. You know, even off the collectors here, basically.
Oh yeah,
that's what it's.
Yeah, I had just randomly, I posted a video of them feeding, and some, like, I don't know who it was, because it was just somebody from the internet, but basically a random guy messaged me, and he said, I'm actually a collector for these things in Borneo. I think I told you the story, right? And he was telling me even the price that he sells them for in Indonesia. And I was like, holy, like that's what you're getting just within Indo. I was like, wow, you know, so which kind of made me feel good, because then I was like, I probably didn't overpay for mine, I guess, you know, right?
Then they can be kept by the locals as well, I think is the good. A lot of the stuff that we, you know, me and you breed, the tree monitors, then the local Indonesians can't actually keep it because they're protected species. So yeah, so they're you know, they're wanted in the hobby over there's quite an emerging hobby over here. So yeah, and they don't seem too common. I mean, a lot, so I don't know if it's the season from or something, a lot have turned up just recently, but previous to that there wasn't many at all. So
yeah, I guess well, again, I don't know. This is just kind of hearing what I'm hearing, but like there's a lot of deforestation going on in their area. Like this collector that said he's the guy that kind of goes out and finds them, and he was sending me photos, and it looked like he was taking like logging roads, and there was all sorts of like logging happening. And you know, I was trying to get as much information about their natural habitat as possible. And, you know, he's telling me temperature stuff. And yeah, he was just saying like, when it gets really hot during the day, or if it's like drier out, they come down. And he's like, that's why they're more available now, because it's been really dry. Right. He's giving me some like just general information, but from the pictures you said, it's like, yeah, there's some serious habitat destruction going on. And so the logging roads are allowing people to go further and further up, from what it seems, find
exactly what happened with the Lanthanotis for so many years. They started using that palm oil, now they're everywhere pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Habitat for them. So yeah, it's probably another case of that. But you're having really good success with getting them feeding. You've been keeping them quite cold.
Yeah, I mean that's that. I mean, you hear the nightmares of these snakes, and you know, as far as I know, I mean, I haven't known anybody to keep them alive in captivity, with the exception of your friend that you connected me up with, and other than that, I have no idea. It seems like these things, the horror story has been that you land them and you get, you know, a few weeks out of them and then they roll. So it's been this, like, you know, it's been this dark horse in the rat snake world, I guess. It's like, man, I think that it just to me, it just seemed like there was something critical that we were missing or whatever. So, I mean, when I got my initial ones, I mean, that's what I did. I basically said, I'm going to set you guys up individually in big tree monitor enclosures and, you know, give you a good vertical gradient so that you can reach a reasonable temperature, but you can get really cold. And, you know, I knew that they were probably a cooler loving snake anyways, given the elevation and stuff. And I just didn't realize how cool, you know? So it was like, when I first got them, that's all I do is I'd set them up and I would literally go in every hour whenever I had a second and I had my chart, and I'd just be like, temp gun, where they're sitting, where you sitting, where you sitting, where you sitting, where you sitting, feed them, where you sitting after you eat, boom, 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 boom. And I went through and did this for a couple weeks, and I got like a beautiful temperature spectrum for where they seem to like. And I mean, and then it was like, okay, now I know the range they like. I can change the wattage of the light bulb or set the room temperature a bit different. And so it's been an adjustment period trying to dial them in, but I haven't had one die. Every single one's eating multiple prey, with the exception of 2 of the ones that I have. So like frozen thawed rodents, frozen thawed mice, frozen thawed quail. Yeah, there's a couple. It seems like the trick to getting them to feed, it seems like all of them will take live rat pups. Something about a live rat pup they love. But, again, yeah, I don't want to get into the whole feeding nothing but live rat pups just because they are so fatty, you know. So it's like it's okay to get them, you know, established on that. But I think you really want to stick with, like, again, I don't know what they eat in the wild. I asked that collector guy. He's like birds and rodents. That's what he told me. So I was like, okay,
yeah,
they seem like a nest raiding type snake. So my focus is feeding them mostly quail, hopefully, right? And
I doubt they'd find that many, you know, mammal nests in the wild.
No, and even the way they hunt, right? It's like they're very, you know, they can't strike worth a shit and hit anything, right? Like they suck at that, right? It's like they strike something, you know. But when they are actually feeding, like you know, when you get those things to like feed, a lot of the initial strikes are just defense, and then they realize, oh yeah, this is actually food, and then they'll grab it, and right. So that's just not natural, but it's a decent way to get them to eat. But it's like the ones that when they are in feed mode and they are actually hunting for food, they're really searchy. Like they're really, you know, head down, going, and then as soon as they catch the scent of something, you can tell they hone right in on it. I didn't realize how acute they were to that sort of stuff, but like the ones that are actually like intentionally feeding, they, you know, just methodical the way they grab things, and then even how fast they swallow stuff. It's like if you had a baby bird and you're raiding a nest, you want to get it down quick so you can eat the next one and the next one, right? So it's like a few things, but yeah, they're interesting. We'll see. I mean, time will tell. I mean,
I was watching this earlier. So quick.
Yeah, right.
Remind me of cobras are the same. I used to keep a lot of cobras in the UK, and they just munch it down really quick.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I have like temps and stuff, you know, reasonably well for them to keep them alive, and you know, and part of it, like, one of the things with these things is like they have nose rubs, right? And I think what happens is when they bring them out of Borneo and then they bring them down to the exporter's place, the temperatures are too hot and they're constantly pacing and rubbing, and that seems to be a bad thing. So what I find is once you get the temperatures dialed in, they're really relaxed. They're not like all over the place. They just hang out in the trees like you'd kind of expect, and they really. They're obviously learning a ton about them, but they're really, really nice that way. And so time will tell, see what happens with like trying to breed them. I've never ever bred a rat snake before. I've never even owned a rat snake before. Like I had a blue beauty snake maybe when I was in university for a little bit. Like so totally something out of my wheelhouse. Like I was just like, forget it. I'm just going to switch it up and just try and do something crazy. Right. And it's like, so, but yeah, time will tell, but the way they're going, it's nice. And it's one of those things like we're talking about cooler temps and things like that. It's just one of those things that people are so conditioned to like, think a certain way about how they have to be kept, right? They have to be this way. And it's like, no, man. I didn't read anything on oxycephalum, Jansseni, anything like that. I was like, they're rats. Let's just see what they tell me, right? That was the point of like going around my clipboard temp gun for a couple weeks. Where you sitting, you build up the temperature profiles, you start to learn about how they drink and things like that. And, it's like I just let the snakes kind of tell me what they wanted, and then you're like, okay, now I see where they like to sit, and now I can build the temperature gradient around that. So
that's perfect. Have you got them paired up then in groups? You got them single?
No, I just have them singly right now. Again, one of the things is like I don't really know what the adult size of them are. So there's that, but I think probably in, February, I might start to try and pair stuff up. There's just, I have no rush. I just want to make sure everybody's doing well and that. Right. And, but I do have one really large female that, I would imagine is a full blown adult. So if I'm gauging everything by that, most of the animals that I have are probably reproductively capable, but they're young. That one looks a little more faded and stuff. So, and she's big, and she's actually one of the ones, because she's probably in her, somewhere mid years of life, but she's adult. She's one of the ones that is like, she's pretty picky about feeding. I mean, if I offer her a rat pup, it's like, bam, she'll crush it, right? But so I'm trying to keep them lean because they are a tree snake. I don't want them super fat and stuff like that.
Definitely not.
But if they're anything like the other, like Jansseni and stuff, it seems like, again, I'm not a rat snake guy, so I don't really know, but I've been listening to, on the flight to Costa Rica, listening to a few rat snake podcasts and people that have successfully bred them. And it seems like, they breed all, at kind of any given time of the year randomly. Like there's no set season for when
that's what I was saying. I was going to say, are you going to keep them together? That's what we do with like some of the Jansseni and oxycephalum we got here. Because I just don't know how you'd go about breeding them. It's not like you can really see it like a tree. And I'm not really a massive snake guy. It's not like a tree monitor where you can, going into vitellogenesis where you can see it. Maybe palpating. I know people can I've tried palpating stuff and I'm no good at it. When you feel for follicles in them. I just wondering if you were going to keep them in groups or try and pair them when you think.
Yeah, I think that. Well, again, it's funny because in those podcasts I was listening to, there was one guy, I forget his name, maybe Carmichael. Anyways, he was talking about keeping his Jansseni in groups, and he was like, I think they actually do better in groups or pairs all the time, right? And he's like, they'll just go when they want to go at any given point throughout the year, right? It makes sense. They're equatorial. So.
Yeah, we got oxycephalum all through the year. There's no month I've got them incubating out. yeah, just seem to be random, a bit like maybe like the tree monitors indoors. When they got enough resources, they go into a cycle, they breed, and then they have it. Then like a set season, like a lot of the pythons seem to be very set in their seasons.
So, yeah, I think I may try a setup where I keep a pair together, and then another setup like this guy was talking about, keeping a trio together, and he's like, yeah, they seem to do really well that way. So yeah, put a couple males together with a female. I don't know. Again, like I don't know what I'm doing. You can always try and redact. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. That sounds very interesting. Right, we're getting up to the 2-hour mark, mate. We can't end on Marjoram, as lovely as they are, as it's a monitor species, monitor podcast. What's your most excited or most wanted thing monitor wise this year? Like either adding to the collection or if you'd be stoked to breed?
Well, I've added enough in the last year or so. So I don't think there's any real project that I would like, that I'm really trying to get. I mean, if something comes across my way, I would probably like grab some Colii, or like if somebody had some Mitchellii, hey Brandon, you know what I mean? But it's like I don't think I'm gonna actively pursue anything. I think now my goal is just to breed things like the new stuff, like the lace monitors, the croc monitors, and the coming guy. I'm trying to breed those, right? Like the lace monitors. It's like, it seems like, again, my pair, they were a pair that was just floating around in Canada. They're like 4 or 5 years old now. And it was just random coincidence that this guy, and I had known this guy from like 25 years ago, and he's kind of underground now, but then he just reached out to me like May of last year, and he was like, hey man, I got this pair of lace monitors, would you be interested in them? I'd like to see them do something. He's like, I can't care for them. And I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll do it. So it's one of those things where that female's they were housed together their whole life. That female's kind of been conditioned just to almost do nothing, I think. Right. So it's like now my goal with that pair is to try and, like, I have them separate. How do I kick that female into actually doing something? Right. So right now they're cooling. They're in starvation mode, right? So mid-March, like I think the Lacy's are the ones I'm maybe most excited. Lacy's and the Crocs, excited about doing something with, right?
The Lacy's seem pretty good because they've got that. I'm just going on probably the same videos you've watched of Dave's, where you can give them that cooling and then bring them out that cooling. That seems pretty cool.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping the cooling period, like the real cool period with no food, that's enough of a shock to the system to get them going, right? And that seems to work with a lot of stuff, so I'm hoping. And then the croc monitors, I think it's just like, I'll send you a picture of that female that I've been
for sure. I think it'll be down to the female. Like I said, they don't seem they don't seem hard to breed as long as you've got the right animals, for sure. I don't know if you want to talk about it or not. I don't know if you've spoken to what we spoke about. I don't know. I'm going to say this without your news that might be coming up, or do you want to leave that for you and Catherine to speak about?
I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay, that's fine. So
just Catherine Brown approached me there over the last couple of days about being her co-host on the All Monitor Talk podcast under the Trap Talk team.
Joining the family.
I
didn't mean to make it really awkward. Then I didn't wanted to know if Kat wanted to make like a big announcement, or you wanted to make a big announcement. But
I don't think it's a big deal. She may make a big announcement, but so we'll do just co-host and see how it goes, because I've never hosted a podcast before, so I'm sure it'll be interesting. So that's what I think it's good that like your podcast here is good when you have somebody that is like really, really involved asking questions too, because then you ask the right questions and you can get some good information, right? I have always said this in the past, and no knocks on anybody, it's just the nature of it. Like, if you have a host that is interested. They're genuinely interested in monitors, but they, you know, and they're just starting out or whatever. I always left podcasts thinking like, oh, there's so much more that could have been said about this, or we could have dove into so much more detail about this. And so I always felt a lot of times not super satisfied with what was covered. So I feel now that like this, you know, we can go into real detail about some pretty cool things, whereas other people who just haven't had the background with monitors might not even think to ask, right? So I think that's kind of a bonus. But yeah, it'll be good. And like I said, I'm going to be off for a half year here, so I'll have the time to do it. It's just like, I think you're like, we were talking earlier, is like guests, you know, who do you get on? Who do you get on, and what do you talk about to try and keep it fresh? But there's always stuff, right?
I'm excited. I like a podcast to listen to, and we got a few now. Like I said, Mike's doing the one with Nick, which is really good as well, and there's no bad blood between anyone there from the Trap Talk lot. So
I didn't know. Catherine just said Mike was going to focus on his with Nick.
Yeah, he's doing the one with Nick, which is you know, one of my favorite podcasts now. So yeah, it's not like anyone's fallen out with anyone from what I know. Yeah. So there's enough space for all of us to do a podcast as well, and it means I've got another one to listen to. I didn't want to lose. You know, there's not many monitor podcasts out there for whatever reason. So it's nice to have one I can't listen to, which is the one I do, which I never listened back to myself. I just couldn't imagine.
Yeah. You're like
it's nice to have two other ones as well now, which is good.
Yeah, it'll be good. I just trying to think of guests from the past or current that you could get on that kind of haven't been utilized, and I think that will be the hardest thing, right?
Yeah, well, I'm sure you can get the same guests on, just ask different. I mean, everyone asks different questions. So there's loads to go over. Some of the old, a bit like you said, some of the old school guys would be good. I try and get a lot of the Australian ones, so I'm sort of know quite a few of the guys over there, which gives it a different aspect. So I mean, it's just cool to talk monitors and try and think of some different things. I'm sure you and Catherine will smash it. So I'm really excited for that. Post out your plug. I mean, if people don't know, you're living under a rock by now. If you don't know Brandon Hasten from Canadian Cold Blood, but do you want to just give yourself a plug for your socials and stuff, and then we'll wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can just find me at on Facebook under Canadian Cold Blood, or Instagram Canadian Cold Blood. Just type it in, and I'm there, and I post somewhat regularly. And you can just reach out. You can email me, Brandon at CanadianColdBlood.com, and part of the time off was to like finish the website and then do a book, Mr. Applin. And I see you're doing a book too.
I think Brian's doing one as well.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
All right. I'll wait for yours to come out, and I'll be like, ooh, what's going on?
Again, I won't read my own book. It's a lot to just write the thing and go over it and over it and over. I used to make music, and like there's nothing worse than like making your own music. You never want to listen to it back for like a good few years. You know, oh, that was actually quite good. So yeah, there's enough space for. I mean, there's so little monitor books out there as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's nothing. It's always you seem to be snake books. So like I said, I'm sure mine will be different to yours and like I said, and Brian's as well. So yeah, I'm probably halfway through mine at the moment. I just need to get over to Biak and Arrow and photograph some in the wild, and then that should be about it, really.
Yeah, that'll be good about yours is like the specific locality stuff and all that, right?
Yeah.
Like that'll be interesting to see what you come up with on that stuff. So that'll be really neat.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I'd be really excited to read the captive side of your one, because you've got way more, longer experience. That was the worst bit. I got that done first, and that was a real struggle for me to do. I was like, I really, just don't like that. That's not the bit that interests me as much as is the wild stuff. So that's what I said. That there's enough space. I think mine will be like the natural history stuff, which should be really good. And then I'll be excited to read the captive stuff from you for sure.
Yeah, like I've been, I have like, I mean, I've been compiling as much breeding and cycling data as I can over the last 10 years. Like you see on my enclosure, I got all those charts, right? So on those charts, I'll mark down, you know, first observed copulation, last observed copulation, when I think they ovulated, when egg deposition was. And so like, and now I have like, you know, hundreds and
years of
samples of time frames for each female, right? So I can probably get some pretty good graphical data in there for all of the species. And like now that you have more and more of a sample size of that, you can start to see some pretty interesting stuff between the different species, right? So it's cool, but it gives people an idea of timing and that sort of thing. Like at least under my conditions, right? That's always the thing to remember. But so if there's some good information coming out, that's good. I didn't know Brian was potentially starting one as well.
Yeah. Well, I said, do you want to share any data? And he was like, well, I think I'm going to do one myself. I've been, you know, gathering data. I was like, oh, that's fine. So I'll share some data your way, and you can share it this way, or just do your own thing. So yeah, like I said, 3 books out, as many podcasts as monitors. It's been lacking. Like
that's it, right?
We've all got different takes on stuff, different styles and stuff. It's like, what difference does it make if there's 1 book out to 3 books out? It's better for me. A bit like I said with the podcast, is that means I've got 2 more to read rather than just having the one
exactly, right. That's good. Exactly. So
that's good. I'm excited for that. Thank you everyone for listening. And I'll be back soon. All right. Cheers, mate.
Thank you, everybody.